Let's go over to the tight ends, guys, and we start with Brenton Strange, who's kind of taken the Hunter Henry role, I feel like, this year. He's 72% available. We talk about him a lot. And, Matthew, week in and week out, this guy is getting targets that probably match a lot of people that are starting at tight end in fantasy.
Yeah, for everything that's broken about the Jacksonville passing offense, Trevor Lawrence likes to look for Strange. Brenton Strange had a season-high 23% target share last week, back-to-back games, with 6 catches. He's led the team in receiving yards 2 of 4 games this year. So Brenton Strange, we kind of like. I feel like that's another guy. He might be this year's Hunter Henry. Because I feel like we've talked about Brenton Strange, and I've made that looking for Strange joke, for a month straight now.
Yes, you have.
Yeah. Well, listen. It's on brand for me. I run jokes into the
Repeat?
ground.
Yeah.
Yes.
Feed a fed horse.
Yes, of course.
This was supposed to be the year that Trevor Lawrence takes a leap in a new offense. BTJ's a legit wide receiver 1. Travis Hunter, potential wide receiver 2. Brenton Strange might be their best fantasy option relative to the position.
For sure.
It's completely insane. I don't
great.
know what is going on with this passing. Also, they're 3-1, and apparently their defense is elite. It's the most strange team in the league.
All right, exactly. I mean, Lawrence has been bad. I mean, he just has been bad. I mean, and if you're Jacksonville, I don't know what you do with him. He's got the big contract.
Hire another coach to figure it out.
That's what they'll do.
Aloha Bricks. Brenton Strange is looking like BTJ out there.
Again,
that's not what we were hoping for.
No, it's not. But again, it's the one thing that is working in this passing offense. He's led the team in receiving yards in 2 of 4 games this year. That's like a crazy stat. That Brenton Strange on a team that has Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr. could lead them in 2 out of 4 games. 50% of the games, he's their leading receiver.
Our next tight end is Harold Fannin, who we often say is really just a big wide receiver. He's 63% available. With this one, Jay, listen, yes, the targets should go up because of Cedric Tillman's injury. He had 6 last week. But it kind of feels like he's just killed Njoku's value. It doesn't feel like either of them have true standalone value at the moment. They just kind of eat into each other.
Yeah, which is a shame because there was that early season game where they both did produce simultaneously, though. I think that was against the Bengals.
That's right.
A lot of people can simultaneously produce against the Cincinnati Bengals. How do you think, because it feels like we are ending, much to my chagrin, we're ending the end of the Joe Flacco era based on what he has shown. How do you think that Fannon's skill set would mesh with Dylan Gabriel?
Well, they've probably gotten enough work over summer together when Gabriel was healthy, because that's usually how the rookie practice reps go. So that's a positive. And then you look at him, he's basically a big slot. Yep. And you would think a young quarterback is going to lean on the big slot, where it hasn't happened lately, but Joe Flacco was typically a guy that will throw the seam to Njoku off inline. So I would, if I'm picking one for the long term of the season, it's Fannin for me, but with Gabriel eventually taking over. But I just don't feel good about either right now, honestly.
Which is fair, but just given the state of the tight end position, Fannin had a 71% route participation last week. Again, it hasn't translated into big fantasy production, but he's out there quite a bit. He's running a lot of routes. And so if we think, and it's been kind of a tough stretch for the Browns in terms of the defenses they've faced as well. But this week, it's the London game. They're playing Minnesota in London. Then they're at Pittsburgh, home to Miami, at New England. So the schedule gets easier for Cleveland here over the next 4 games. None of those are defenses that truly scare you, right? So Fannin, I think, is interesting at 63% available. But how about let's move on to the next tight end, which is Darren Waller. Again, last night, Darren Waller came back
from a long absence. A rap career in between.
Yes. Former, it's not often you see a rapper turn into an NFL star, but that's what's happened here with Darren Waller. 16% target share, gets only 4 targets, catches only 3 balls for 27 yards, but 2 of those 3 receptions were in the end zone. He catches 2 touchdowns here, and he was targeted on 40% of his routes. Again, so he wasn't out there that often, but when he was out there, he was targeted quite a bit. And what a return. Darren Waller drinks for free today. If you know Darren Waller's story at all, and I've written about it, I've had him on the podcast, I've interviewed him multiple times, I've been on his podcast. One of my favorite players in the NFL. If you know his story, he is an easy guy to root for. And for him to come out of retirement and have that kind of game on Monday Night Football in his first game back, I think is just an awesome story. I don't know if he's going to be able to stay healthy for the entire year.
That's the question.
And it's a part-time role at the moment, but certainly I think first game back, they clearly were looking for him. There's targets available with the injury to Tirico Hill, and so that wasn't like just, especially the first touchdown, with the toe tap in the back of the end zone.
Sauce
was
a
like
really nice play. Vintage.
If he stays healthy, I would make him the favorite to lead the team in receiving touchdowns. Like, I think he would be the guy.
Waddle doesn't catch enough touchdowns.
Maybe 8-chan out of the back. Like, it's Waller will be their target now.
Yeah.
In the end zone.
So anyway, Dalen Waller, I think, is pretty interesting. He's 94% available at Carolina this week, as you mentioned, then home to the Chargers, at Cleveland, at Atlanta. So a mixed bag there as well. But we expect his workload to continue to ramp up, especially given the injury to Tyreek Hill.
The last one with a lot of availability, Mason Taylor, 94% available for Mason Taylor after his best career game against Miami, where it was kind of a homecoming for his family. He had a lot of family members there, and Mason Taylor went off. He had 7 targets, 5 catches, 65 yards. This is the Jets' number 2 wide receiver. They're not good at throwing the ball,
right?
But this is now officially the Jets' number 2 wide receiver.
Yeah, and again, we'll get into this a little bit more in the next segment. But it felt like, again, that passing offense a little bit out of rhythm. Didn't feel like it got going till the fourth quarter. But still, it's also just Justin Fields' first game back. What?
It felt like watching Army.
A little bit, right?
That's what it felt like.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it was definitely a military school type offense. But when they did throw, if it wasn't Garrett Wilson, it was Mason Taylor. I know that, Connor, because you and I talked about him at the draft, I know coming out of LSU, we really liked him. I think he was your number 3 tight end?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. It would have been Arroyo at 2, and then, of course, Tyler Warren, and so probably 4.
Loveland. Right,
yeah, but definitely warranted of a top 50 pick, a guy that can play on the line of scrimmage. He's got really good hands. He's a good player. Like, you could see it last night, even in all the dysfunction of the Jets, how consistent he was every time they threw him the ball in the target. And Aaron Glenn spoke a lot this week, like, we need to get him more involved, and coaches usually they don't live up to what they say, and that's one that's going to live up to it for the Jets.
Let's go to some deep league guys as well. If those 4 guys are not available, how about Dalton Schultz, who's now had 5 or more targets in 3 or 4 games this season, 18% target share. Isaiah Likely, in his first game back last week, ran only 3 fewer routes than Mark Andrews. He's younger. Mark Andrews is not. We mentioned Theo Johnson. Again, with Malik Neighbors and that massive target share no longer available for Jackson Dart, Theo Johnson, who's gotten a red zone target in every single game this year, had a 25% target share last week, got into the end zone. They designed it like a quick little shovel pass for him that worked out. I do think Theo Johnson will be a bigger part of the offense moving forward, especially with Jackson Dart under center. And somebody we mentioned last week as well, Aronde Gadsden, my guy from Syracuse, Aronde Gadsden the second, 46% snap rate last week, up for 25%. Will Dissly is banged up. We like this Chargers passing offense. They're clearly not passing it to McConkey. So you know what I mean? It's going to go somewhere. Right. And anyway, Gadsden at the end of a long list in terms of deep league mentions, but it's worth mentioning him as well. Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com. And I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched. Or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.